This holiday season, surprise everyone on your list with the best gifts. Tickets to see their favorite artists live. Choose from thousands of concerts and comedy shows, including Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Matt Matthews, Metallica, Thomas Rhett, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Sarah Silverman, and so many more. Share a memory together, or give a gift they'll never forget. Find the most exciting gift for every fan at livenation.com/gifts. That's livenation.com/gifts.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call, we talk to one of them, they stay anonymous, I can't hang up, that's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today, Beautiful Anonymous.
Welcome to the Old Souls and Seekers podcast, a podcast that transcends the typical personal development journey. You're not new to this. You've read the books, attended the seminars, and perhaps even tried various coaching programs, yet something still feels amiss. Elon and Guy have over 2 decades of relentless searching and $1 million invested in their personal growth quest. Here's the revelation. You're not missing anything. You're not even behind. You might have just been searching in the wrong places. In each episode, we'll uncover the most effective, straightforward practices that have profoundly impacted our lives and the tens of thousands of our clients from all over the world. This is about real, sustainable results for those dedicated to their personal and spiritual growth. So get ready to explore and enjoy the show.
All right, well, hey, everybody. Please feel free to say hi in the chat box there. Nice to be with you, Alicia and Garth and Jocelyn. If it's one of your first time or your first time here with us, if you can let us know. I'd like to give you a special hello into the community as well. I hope everybody's as stunned and also gearing up for the end of the year as I am. What's up, Chris?
What were you saying? Stunned and what?
I don't know. You know, when as you get older, it's like every time the new year rolls back around, you're like, wow, I can never, this year felt really full, but it's like every year feels full, but it's just shocking how it comes around. Like if I think about us being together in Utah this year, that feels like that happened like in another century.
Yeah.
And that was only 9 months ago.
Yeah.
Already a year in this house and all the other things. It's just wild. Yeah. Well, Chris Childs, welcome. Awesome to have you. Appreciate you being here. We hope you're getting oriented and your experience with programs is going well. We know it could be a little bit disorienting with the amount of stuff we have here at first. So if you need some guidance on what to look at first, please don't hesitate to ask. Jane and Jody, Mike, what's up, man? Good to be with you guys. And yeah, well, welcome to the beginning of the closeout of 2024. I imagine if you're like everybody else in our community, it's been a little bit of a wild ride with your own little bumps and lumps and wins and difficulties and stuff like that. And we got Karen with us and Sharon here as well. And we're excited to be with you. And just a little admin, this weekend is the Intuitive Mind live event. That's our 2-day intensive. So if you're not there already, most likely you are. But if you don't have tickets for that, you can go to intuitivemind.live. And if you type in the coupon code HALF50, HALF, HALF50, it'll save you 50% on your admission. Don't tell anybody that I told you so, but it works. And it's one of our favorite things to do. I think we miscalculated that we were running an event so close to the end of the year this year, but we're gonna enjoy it. We have a lot of people signed up, and I think personally for me, it's probably my most favorite thing that we do here. And the reason for that is just the amount of time that we get to be together.
Yeah.
because most of our programs, it's like for time relativity, it's like a 2.5 hour coaching session, and we run them every 2 weeks. But it's like something special happens when you spend like half a day with each other for consecutive days. And I'm always just absolutely blown away by day 2 experiences at these events. And so there's definitely like a newness every single time we do the event. And we say this every time, but the content's the same to some degree. We generate the content every time. It's not, Elon and I don't read off scripts. We have very, very simple bullet point notes on what we want to talk about. But at the end of the day, it's really about sharing wisdom with you guys. Everything honestly we do here within this community is all about really just sharing wisdom that we've been able to ascertain from a large group of different teachers we've had over a 22-year period, things that we've committed ourselves to, promises that we made to ourselves, agreements that we made to ourselves, and what agreements and promises and practices have worked, and just kind of divulging like, when you do this, and we've tested it on thousands or tens of thousands of people, this seems to work across the board for everybody. So, Jane, I'll get that to you in just a second. So these Tuesday live sessions too, for those of you guys who are here for the first time, these are not like formal coaching sessions. These are definitely more conversational in nature. So if you have any questions at all for us about something that you're currently dealing with, about a distinction or practice within the programs that you're curious about, we can kind of weave it into the conversation and give you some feedback on that as well. But again, these are not formal coaching sessions. Honestly, we're here because we love this community. We love what it's turning into. And we want to continue to share with you guys wins and losses for us too. Elon and I are not here to present a perfect face. We're not here to present a perfect life. We're here to be perfectly imperfect and to be vulnerable and to let you know about the challenges that we have in our lives as well when they come up. And also to just show you perhaps a different path than most are taking and how they deal with the challenges or the pain that arises in life. And it certainly happens to everybody. Like, nobody is immune from having challenges or from experiencing pain from time to time. And this community is not about trying to take that away from you. It's about really having a different relationship with it in a healthy way, one that we consistently see as healing experiences for people. So, bro, there's a few questions in there already. Let me just answer Jane real quick.
Okay.
I'll stick the information for the live event on top of this, Jane, and for everybody else who wants it. Okay.
Yeah, as far as the minis, I don't really want to get into that here. I would, if that's something that's attractive to you or sounds interesting, then I would definitely come to the live event. We actually take you guys through those experiences, so you'll actually get to practice it on the court, because the description of the words and of it is not really going to help you so much as the practice of it. So I don't really want to get into that, Bishan, but hopefully you can be at the live event with us, and then I promise at the live event, we go through it thoroughly and you'll get access to it. Not only that, like, one of the big things, for us is we learned that for 15 years, Guy and I were doing our own work on our own little island, meaning like we were reading books, doing seminars, things like that, but very isolated, right? In this like acquiring data and information, which I know many, many, many of you are in that same exact boat. And then there's this notion that, when I know enough and understand enough and I have enough modalities under my belt and enough tools under my belt, that I'm going to somehow be able to heal all these things that have been running my life. And I can tell you with 100% certainty that you can't do it that way. Take it from someone who, Guy and I spent 15 years trying to do that and over $1 million between the two of us. I have participants who, we've coached that have been doing work for 40, 50 years and will come here and in a year say that they've done more in a year than they did in the 50 years prior. And that is solely based on the fact that if we want to actually heal ourselves, we have to be in an energetically attuned connection with other and groups of others. So the traumas that got created happened when we were not in a room by ourselves, but either someone was in a room or someone's were in the room. And so you have to put yourself back in those environments to heal the rupture that happened. And the reason we've built what we've built is like everything that we've built here is around community. So not only do you have access to minis, but when you join the higher end programs, you also plug into the community, which gives you more of the people to do these practices with, right? So a lot of people think like, well, I have friends that I can talk to. A mini is not talking. It's not sharing or getting a different perspective or anything like that. That it's fine. You can definitely have that. But what we're talking about is more like an energetic attunement piece. So that's the big component is like, if you can have a community of people, and you can find 3, 4, 5, 6 people that you have in your life that you can consistently do these practices with, you're set, like forever set. I mean, you don't need another program because the process is going to be the same thing over and over. So I would definitely say come to the live event, have that experience, and then you can kind of see for yourself the power of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I mean, obviously we can't make you any promises on physical pain and what that would do in terms of nervous system health. The way that this stuff works is not, healing is not like a laser pointer that you get to point at your knee and say, I want to heal my knee now, or I want to heal this now, or I want to heal my relationship with my mom now. We continuously, and I think it's something we could all learn from and abide by, is that we just always trust in the pacing and the direction that your particular intelligence of your body wants to work on now. So in a lot of courses, we did this for 15 years, so we understand that too. You're like, okay, I have this like issue in money. I want to go take care of that. I'm going to point this personal development laser on it. And to some degree, it's not to say that it can't be effective, but it's effective with certain limitations. So for us, like when you're doing a lot of mindset work and trying to figure things out, you could probably develop some good systems, management, coping systems, and things of this nature, but rarely do you heal the underlying structures, right? This work is really about the roots, okay? We can cut off all the branches, right? But the way that the mind works is it grows those branches back so damn quickly, you're going to be sitting there with machetes for the rest of your life trying to figure out why things aren't really changing. And so, I always make the metaphor that if you cut your finger or you break a bone in your body, you have to sit there and tell your body what to do. And when it comes to our emotional intelligence and our emotional resilience and what people call trauma and stuff like this, it's not really up to us to say, hey, it's time to heal this now, body, no more than it would be time to tell your finger, hey, it's time to heal this finger now, body, and I want you to put this cell over here or mend that bone over there. It doesn't work that way. It's in the getting out of the way. It's in going into allowing for rest to occur. And when it comes to people's like emotional trauma, which will then mimic their physical trauma, it's like whatever your body's ready for now, it will do, whatever your consciousness does. And so there's something really beautiful about being in the dance of your own awarenesses, souls, body, energetic intelligence, and just allowing for that to take place. What we teach is not, hey, let's do this and we'll heal mom, or let's do this and we'll heal that trauma. What we teach is how to put the body into that environment consistently every single day as a moment by moment experience so that the body can do its work and heal, so to speak, which is really just another way of saying bringing it back into balance, right? Bringing yourself into alignment, into attunement, into balance, to have stability. That's where healing happens. And so if someone's experiencing chronic pain, I imagine there's a certain emotional, energetic, or even mental anguish that's coming along with that. And so again, like I can't tell you this with certainty, but I'll give you some examples. And again, this is not things that people came to us for, but are things that have happened just in the last few months in this company. We've had a woman who came here with, I think it was 40 years of epileptic seizures. And she did 2 of the meditations and has not experienced an epileptic seizure since then. We had a woman that worked with us at all the way up to level 3 this past year, who will probably be a coach in this environment at some point as well. And she has severe scoliosis, like and very intense. Like we have the x-rays, and during this work, the scoliosis self-corrected. Again, it wasn't something that she came to us for. It wasn't a promise that we made to her. And so we need to start considering that there's a lot of stuff we don't understand about the psychosomatic nature of disease, of chronic pain, certainly, and also how that's tied back to the energetic configuration and the emotional configurations and the mental configurations that we're in, and how that affects our body. I'm sure every culture has that saying that stress is a killer, you know? And so like there's a lot of wisdom and truth in that saying, because when there's stress in the body and it has nowhere to go, it creates pressure inside the system, which could lead to things like chronic pain. And, you know, you see that a lot with people who are mental anguish. They're also dealing with a lot of physical pain. So again, I'm not saying it's a cure-all and you could say, oh my God, this miracle is going to happen to me. And they do happen. Now, does that mean you do one practice and like tomorrow the chronic pain goes away? Probably not. You know, like that, it's a great deal of work, in my opinion, to get there. Having said that, it's not difficult work. It's courageous work, and it requires a lot of commitment on your part, which basically just means showing up. You know, like if you're going to ask me what does committed look like, I'd be like, just show up and do the practices. Show up and do the practices when you don't understand what the practices do. Yeah. Show up and do the practices when you think you understand what they do. Show up the practices when you're not immediately experiencing a result from it. The cool part about the co-regulation practice that we teach, the mini practice, is you will feel an impact from that almost assuredly immediately. Okay. And what you're going to feel is just more settled down. You're going to feel more stability. And what we see constantly for people, and, you know, I'm sure I'm not the first person to reveal this to you, is like humanity is on a hamster wheel. We're just running. And a lot of us are living life with a complete lack of stability or resource, and oftentimes even connection in our lives. And it's not just a spiritual need, but a biological need for this species that we call the human being to be in connection with others, where we are social creatures by design. And so when Elon says, you know, we really value the community and the connection here, it's not a euphemism, because it was like a revelation to us, like Elon said, to realize that healing work literally does not happen outside of connection. It's actually an imperative process to connection. And even to this day, you know, with all the work that Elon and I have done, 22 years, about 8 years in these energetic healing practices, like I hit something that really rattled my system on Friday. I was all bent out of shape for like 2 days off and on. And then like my wife knows a lot of this work too. And I just like sat with her, and like the improvement in my mental well-being, the improvement in my stress levels, in my capacity to be present with what's going on, like night and day. And we're talking about, you know, 20, 30 minutes of presence from her. So there's something really cool that happens when you stop treating yourself like there's a problem, and you start realizing that you're just having an experience. The human is having an experience, and it's okay if that experience leads to frustration or confusion or anger or sadness. There's nothing wrong with you that you're having that experience. It's probably a very intelligent and adequate response to whatever stimulus is in your life in that moment. And so most people doing work, in our opinion, are trying to do the work to get rid of some aspect of themselves. And just take a moment and ponder for yourself if the reason that you're doing developmental work or healing work is to resolve something to the point where you think it will never arise again in your life. And I can almost assure you that if that's where you're doing work from, not only are you going to create more turbulence for yourself, but you're gonna suffer about it a lot more than you need to. So I had a mentor one time that said, if a human being is imagining it, there's a human being doing it. And in the same token, it's like, if you've had an experience before, whether it's an emotional, mental, physical experience, chances are you're going to have some version of that experience again, kind of by design, like how this dimension of our reality works. It actually like loops similar experiences. Have you guys noticed this back into our experience over and over again? And do you think that it's doing that to harm you, or do you think that it's doing that to teach you or heal you or help you see something, reveal something, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I need reminders all the time. I need reminders from my kids. I need reminders from my wife. I need reminders from my mentors and teachers. And I need reminders constantly about all sorts of things, that some of them which I'm very adept at and normally do really well. And, you know, sometimes I still slip up. So yeah, we could look at it like it's testing you. And maybe there's some truth to that, but I particularly don't like the way that makes me feel like I'm being tested by God or by source or by the universe. I think it's more of like, it's trying to realign you. You know, to me, if we're going to say that God, or whatever our concept is of that, the underpinnings of it is love and expansion, right? Then why would something that loves you test you? Like, I don't go around testing my kids to see whether they're worthy or deserve love. You know, it just doesn't align for me. That it's like, maybe I'm trying to help them to reveal something to them. Maybe try to open up a part of reality, an aspect to help them get more aligned, more stability, more resource in their life. That's what I want to do for them. Right. So for me, it's like the challenging moments, for all of us, you know, is that we all kind of came here with a certain design to have a certain kind of experience. At least that's what it seems. And that's my prevalent belief. If you don't believe that, please don't take that story, and that's perfectly fine. And so like, there's certain things that we are going to be working with and or challenged by that for other people, they can't relate to it, or is not a challenge for them at all. And that doesn't make you bad or worse or them better by comparison in any particular way. It's just like, that's what you're here to do. You know, I like to say we're all like organs in the body with our own thing that we're supposed to be doing. Some of us are cells, some of us are tissue cells, some of us are the kidneys, some of us are the liver. Trust me, the liver and the kidneys are having very different experiences and have very different jobs to do. And if the kidney tries to explain to the liver what its problem is, the liver doesn't know what the fuck the kidneys are talking about. So it's a dangerous game to play comparison, or to say, oh, this person's healing rapidly, I'm not, what's going on with me? Like, truth is, we're all on a little bit, we're all walking the same path, but on a different journey on that path. And it really just requires a lot of patience and grace with ourselves when things aren't going the way that they're going. And it's a real practice, simple to say, not easy to implement, to allow for things to be as they are without creating stories around them or attachments to them that generate more suffering in your life. I mean, it's like a real practice to just sit back and watch, like just observe. And the reason that we do the co-regulation practices, the reason we teach you guys the meditations, is so internally you're slowly training yourself to sit in the seat of the observer and allow for life to do what life does, which is unfold and become more abundant and more rich and expand in experiences. And when you're merged with the mind, you are unwilling most of the time to let things unfold as they are. And you constantly want to enact your will on it, thinking that by controlling it, you'll be happy or satisfied in some way. And then you maybe have a moment in time where you have the illusion of control and you feel satisfied, only to have that taken away from you. And then you're back into your quote chronic pain again, over and over again. And that's this like, you know, cycle of suffering that humanity has been on for quite some time now. And so it takes something to sit back and watch, and you will grow that capacity significantly more sitting with other people.
Are you feeling inspired by these podcasts? Is this approach striking a chord with you? Imagine taking this journey even further with personal coaching from Guy and I, right from your own home on Zoom. Join us at our next live event. They happen quarterly. It's an accessible, cost-effective way to dive deep into these transformative practices, not just theoretically, but experientially. Attendees often share that they've experienced unprecedented levels of peace, support, forgiveness, and awareness. Remember, healing isn't just a mental exercise. It must be felt and released through the body. So here's a special gift just for you, our valued listener. Visit intuitivemind.live and use the coupon code OLDSOUL to receive 25% off your ticket. The Intuitive Mind event is unlike any other. So impactful that many participants return multiple times, some as many as 10, 12, even 15 times. Plus, once you register, we'll immediately send you a recording of a previous event so that you can start practicing right away. Don't miss this opportunity. Go to intuitivemind.live, secure your spot for our next live event using the coupon code OLDSOUL, and start your transformative journey today. Now, back to the show.
And the reason for that is when you can't watch, I guarantee your system is in a state of dysregulation. And sitting with somebody else is how you teach your system when it's normally dysregulated through the osmosis of the nervous system, how to get regulated in that situation. Like I said, I just sat with my wife. She just offered me presents. I was experiencing dysregulation. She's regulated. She's not experiencing what I'm experiencing. And so having her be the witness in that moment where my system can witness regulation while I'm dysregulated is how I find resource, is how I find stability, is how I begin to bring my system back into regulation. And the gifts that we all have, right? Our intuition, our capacity to channel, just like feel into things, know what we want, discern things that are good for us, seem desperately impossible when we're in a state of dysregulation, and seem ultimately really, really close when we're in a state of regulation. And so the last thing I'll say here is, like, there's been a lot of books over the last few years, specifically by a guy named Stephen Kessler, about flow states and how to hack flow states. And it's become a real point of interest for a lot of people all over the world, how to do that. And I would say the number one thing that I've experienced, if you want to experience flow state, is regulation. You know, that you're in your genius, you're in your creative genius when you're regulated. It all kind of goes away when we're in this highly pressurized situation within ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, what he's pointing to is really like the difference between fight, flight, freeze response, which most people's nervous systems are in, I would venture to guess, more than 90% of the time. Like, people literally wake up into stress. And once that happens, you're just hijacked. You're like the you is not actually there. It's just patterns and programs and survival mechanisms that are running your show. And then that's why, you know, like, you get into an interaction with someone, whether it's your kids, your spouse, someone at work, etc. But because your nervous system is already jacked, your fuse is really short, your thinking is unclear. And then we always say it's not about the action you take, it's about the energy behind the action that you take. So think about this. If the energy behind the action that you take is worry, concern, upset, resignation, doubt, fear, whatever it might be, right? Then you're imbuing whatever action you take with that energy, and you're literally planting those seeds that you're going to walk into, whether in a month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year from now, whatever it is, you're going to walk into that. And then what's your opinion about that? You're like, I don't like this. Why is this here? I don't want this. And now, again, you're back in the same energy. And what happens is you create this feedback loop where you keep creating from the energy, but you do the work, right? Like, you read the books and you watch the videos and you do the work. And then you get really upset. Where it's like, why is this showing up again? Well, it's showing up again because the actions that you take are still derived from that same old energy. The fact that you read a book and learn something about yourself doesn't at all change the energy. Because if the contraction and if the rupture still lives in the body, then guess what? That's what's going to be creating those actions. So it's very rare, sadly, in today's human being, that we are taking actions from a grounded, safe, well-being state in our nervous system. When we do that, though, then that's the seed that now you plant in your future. So now when you walk into your future, 1 month to 12 months from now, right? Then what you witness is like, ooh, I like this. Now you put yourself on a completely different trajectory, because now the next action from the place that you're witnessing this shift and change creates more of the same. And now you're on a completely different loop. The reason people get really upset with personal development is we've dedicated, most of us, years, some of us even decades into the work, only to see the same shit show up over and over and over again. It is frustrating. It is disheartening. It is annoying. It brings yourself into question, right? Because then you're like, what's wrong with me? Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm slow. Maybe I'm just screwed for eternity because I was cursed with blah, 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 whatever it is, right? You like just start to create all this stuff. But now watch. That's now the energy that you're creating from. Even if you choose to register for a program or buy a book or whatever, notice that the energy that's buying it is still that same energy. I tell people, like, when someone says yes to a program, and some of you that are on here did it with me on a call, right? Like, and someone gives us their credit card and registers in themselves, I will tell them, I'm like, okay, pause and just notice the energy that you are saying yes from right now. And I'm like, don't do it from the hopeful, wishful, oh my God, energy. Like, do it with intention. Like, this right here is the moment that I draw the line in the sand, and my life from this moment going forward begins to shift. That I start to have more safety or well-being, that I become more creative, that opportunities, people, persons, circumstances show up in my favor, like whatever it might be, right? But you really create a very strong intention, because the energy that you're taking that action and saying that yes from is very important. It's not about when the program starts and you get a coach and Elon and guys start working with you. The program literally starts the second you say yes. People show up to our program with some of the stuff that they've already wanted to work on already being handled.
Yeah, the intention starts the program.
Yeah. Like, the universe doesn't wait. You know, people that we take on to Colombia with us to do plant medicine work, like, the program starts the second they say yes. They don't need to show up on the land and drink the medicine. It's like, it's already showing up. It's already happening. But think about this. In the same way that there's like the powerful intention, notice where you usually operate from. You usually say yes from a hope or a wish. You usually have doubt, worry, concern, all that stuff in your system. And then you take a step with all of that stuff in there. So guess what's going to happen? The same fucking shit is going to happen. And that's the thing that people don't understand. It's like, it doesn't matter how much you rewire your brain. There's so many programs about rewire your brain and blah, 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 blah. I tried it. Again, 15 years. Like, I diligently did it. Rewiring your brain, that's it. It rewires your brain. But your brain is not the thing that runs you. Your body, your nervous system is the thing that runs you. So if the contraction, if the blockage, if the rupture is in the body, okay, so that rupture creates a downstream effect that is spinning in the mind. So now you're rewiring a symptom of the thing that's happening in the body, okay? So you manage the symptom. But how long does the symptom management system last? A day, a week, a month, 6 months? Eventually, the management system falls apart. And because the root cause that's creating that symptom is still in the body, you're going to loop back into that thing. And then it feeds the same thing. Oh, more disappointment, more upset. Oh, the next thing didn't work, and blah, blah, blah. So it's not that you're doing the wrong. It's not like you're doing something wrong. You're just working on the wrong thing. To me, it's become so clear. And when I see people do this, I'm like, I just know how it's going to end. Like, there's no exit. There's no winning that game. There's just delaying an inevitable upset that's going to come, whether in a month or 6 months or a year. Like, it's coming. For me, it's like fear is going to keep coming in your life. Doubt is going to keep coming in your life. Disappointment, upset, abandonment, feeling stupid, feeling not enough. Like, those things are going to keep hitting you left, right, and center for the rest of your days. Like, it's not going to stop. There's no magic program. There's nothing. It's going to keep happening because there's layers and layers and layers and layers of this stuff. So if you were going to invest your time, energy, and money into something, do you want to figure out how to put a Band-Aid over it and then deal with the Band-Aid coming off every, month to 6 months? Or you're like, you know what? I don't want to do that anymore. I want to actually figure out what's underneath all of that. Like when I worked with a functional medicine doctor for the first time, and he's like, you're B12 deficient. I was like, okay, what would you think if someone was B12 deficient? What would be the first thing that any normal doctor or even your mind is going to tell you?
Get more B12.
Go get a B12 supplement, right? Like, just logical. That makes absolute. I don't have enough. Let me go fill up the cup, right? That makes logical sense. That's working with mind. Okay. And this guy said something so fucking brilliant to me. I was like, wow. Okay. He said, okay, now imagine there was a series of 5 fans in your body. And these series of 5 fans, if they worked together in unison, can take what you put into the body, whether it's food, whatever, and they can spit out the amount of B12 that your body needs. So when the 5 fans work in conjunction well, your body is naturally creating that. Now, your body is saying that one of these fans is not working in good order, right? So it's already kind of like sputtering and working really hard to even keep up with the rest. Now you say, I'm going to throw more B12 into the mix. So now you're throwing all this extra material into a fan that's already sputtering and not working well. What do you think that's going to actually do? Is it fixing the problem, or is it masking it and making things worse in the long run? And I sat there and I was like, damn, I never even thought about it that way. He goes, so look, can we give you the supplementation? Yes. Will it work for a little bit? Absolutely. Are you causing your body more harm in the long run? Yeah, it has to. Your body doesn't know how to process it right now, and you're just going to throw a shit ton more in it and be like, process this. It's like, ugh. An engine's already sputtering. You're like trying to make it run even faster. He's like, let's go figure out what down here and in here is actually the thing that's creating that problem. And maybe it was, in my case, it was like a metal and chemical toxicity in the body, which, by the way, pretty much all of us have some version of, between the foods that we eat and the chemicals that are in the air and blah, blah, blah. But it's like you clear that from the system, and all of a sudden, all these markers naturally go up without you installing anything new in there. So the body is kind of the same thing. It's like if things keep showing up in your life and you see this pattern clearly, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in your career, whether it's with your money, whether it's with your health, whatever it is, and you can see like, oh, this person shows up and that thing happens, whatever it might be. And you've been trying to figure out, okay, what is it? Is it the way I communicate? Is it the this? Is it the that? I'm telling you, there's just something inside that you're missing, that these people keep showing up and these circumstances keep showing up to highlight for you and be like, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. But instead of paying attention, you're like, okay, I need to not feel this. Let me figure out how to make this stop. And that's why it doesn't work. So when people come to our live event, and again, like the live events this weekend, right? What we can't solve all your problems in 2 days. You guys get that? Like it's not possible. There's no book that's going to solve all your problems. There's no program that's going to solve all your problems. So to me, it's one of two things. Am I going to learn how to put better and better and better Band-Aids on my problem, knowing that no matter how elaborate, no matter how sticky, no matter how good the Band-Aid is, it's going to come off? Or am I going to figure out how to be with these waves that are going to continuously show up in my life so that I can use the wave, use the energy in order to create deeper and deeper and deeper levels of healing and liberation in myself? And to me, I'm like, just seeing how this has played out over the last, 8+ years, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing for 15 years before? And I get that everything that I did was in order to get me to this place. Because for most people, if you jump right into this work, and we've tried, like, you definitely need the foundational piece of understanding the mind first. But once you've done that, and if you've done that for a span of a year, 2, 3, 5, whatever it might be, and you feel very competent in that, like, a good marker would be if you keep reading books or you keep listening to videos and everything sounds very similar to the thing before. If you're like, oh, I already know this, you've gone as far as you can in that world. That's a really, really good telltale sign. Where you can feel like, oh shit, I can write these books right now. Like, you've done enough. And there's not one other one that sounds like magically different. But what I hear a lot from people that join our program is like, what we share here and the process that we take people through is different. It's new, it's unique. And it is. It is. It really, like, Satori Prime kind of is the bridge between these two worlds. But yeah, like, if the frustration that I'm pointing to you have felt, then it's just time for something new. Yeah. Stop beating yourself up over it.
Can you something happened on my camera? If you can just give me back admin when you get a chance.
Yep.
Because I can't change anything. Thank you.
Did that work?
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. So, how many guys are just tracking what Elon's saying, just yes or no in the chat box? And like we're speaking from the experience of banging our heads against the wall, trying to figure this stuff out. It's taken a great deal of trial and error. Some of you guys know, like, the amount of commitment, time, money we put into programs and teachers, and Elon likes to say this is the last program you'll ever need. And it's really not to, sometimes I don't like when he says that, because it makes it sound like we have this arrogance about what we're doing, but it's more in the sense of, like, there's a certain type of foundational stuff that's missing for people, because in so many of the books, they point at healing and there's no actual teaching on how to do that. There's no actual teaching on how to find this level of awareness. And I don't know about you guys, tell me again, yes or no, if this aligns for you. Like, I had always imagined if I had enough insights and I garnered enough awareness, that suddenly I would find myself in an altered state of mind, which Michael Singer describes as the seat of awareness in his book. And it always made it seem like it was just around the corner, just another insight away, just another breakthrough away. It's so funny to me because, like, Elon and I don't even use the word breakthrough anymore, which used to be the center point of everything that we talked about for like 15 to, 18 years. We don't even use the word anymore because we're genuinely not interested in you having breakthroughs. They feel good for like a moment in time. It's like a nice dopamine hit. When you quote, figure something out, oh God, now I know why I do that. But it's so much cooler to have a direct experience with something that has you relate internally in your internal experience, completely different to what's going on in your life than you ever have before. And it doesn't require you to think about it. It doesn't require you to manage it. It doesn't require you to cope with it. There's just an isness. Like, I'm just here with this experience fully. If you want to know what a breakthrough is, that's what a breakthrough is. A breakthrough is not about trying to change your experience. It's about being so wholly and completely with the experience that you're having that you're no longer trying to get away from the experience that you're having. And in doing so, the suffering around that experience ends. Now, the reason people won't do that is they generally don't feel safe. They don't feel safe in the experience that they're having. So is it the situation that's the problem? Or is it the, quote, animal's reaction to the problem? And that reaction is trauma informed. So I would venture to say that probably around 99% of everything that comes out of your mouth, mine included, all the actions that I take, that you've taken in your life mostly, are trauma-informed responses. That you've made your decisions, you've made your choices, you've taken actions based on what you believed was how you would keep the boogeyman at bay, how you would keep those experiences that you don't want away from you. And just to point at it, the boogeymen, and just to be gender equal here, the boogie women also still come. So why are we playing this fictitious game with ourselves? Why do we think that we're just a thought away from it all going away? I mean, I don't know about you guys. How many thoughts have you had in your life? Trillions of them, like billions of them, just so many thoughts, right? Most of them completely ineffective and useless. And they just keep coming. So, that's the reality of life. It's going to keep coming. All the things that Elon said are going to keep coming. You know when they stop? When we die. And then we go back to our little soul land and everything, and none of this stuff is there because it's just a different dimension of consciousness and reality. And these things are not something that we have to deal with at that level of consciousness. But here, and for whatever reason, that part of us decided to come to this dimension of reality to have these experiences. So we want to learn, how do we best participate in this game that's being played, instead of trying to change the game all the time to make it more comfortable to play. And I'm going to tell you the key to all this right now. Okay. And this is what was missed. This is how we reprogram the nervous system. The key to all this is increasing and enhancing our experience of self-compassion, self-love. Like truly, again, in the chat box, how many of you can say that you unconditionally love yourself? Yes or no in the chat box. How many of you can say that you unconditionally love yourself? Yes or no in the chat box. And I would venture to say that most of you are going to say, no, I don't. There are definitely conditions on how I love myself, whether I'm acceptable, whether what I'm doing is the right or the wrong thing, whether I'm good at what I do or whatever it is. Yeah, I love it, Tim. Tim's saying getting there. Yeah, because it is. It's a little by little cultivation. Now, children don't have this malady, right? When children come into this world, there's no question for them. They're worthy, they have confidence, they love themselves, right? That is, and maybe if you don't even remember that part, potentially in your experience, it was stripped away earlier. So you really don't have any basis of knowledge that you even lived in that place, right? So here's the deal. By learning more about the mind and managing and coping, it's not going to change that inner knee-jerk response that's there. That is, when I say trauma-informed response, what I'm talking about is that immediate knee-jerk response to what's happening in your life. This thing, I don't like it. Ugh. Sadness, anger, confusion, frustration, whatever it might be, right? Pick up the litter. But what if something happened and when it arose within you, instead of the and the judgment, was the like, oh, there's compassion for that aspect of myself that came forward now. And it comes forward with the best of intentions, with the best of desires, that it comes forward to try to create safety. But we want to recognize that what's coming forward is not creating safety. It may have done that initially in the moment when there was something to survive. As a child, like we all experience that stress. When the stress was too great and the energy was hitting the body and the heartbreak was there and all that intention, that tension showed up in the body for the first time, something had to come to help the child survive. And that's what trauma is. That's what our modern thing that people call trauma, that seems like this really complicated thing, is just something that came forward to try to create safety. But our system gets addicted to that. It becomes frozen in that experience and it loops it. And it has an energy. And that energy keeps trying to resolve itself, because just like the finger with the cut, or the bone, right? Like, it's not like, even if you kept moving that bone around and you never let it rest, do you know that the bone would keep trying to heal itself? Even if you kept rubbing sand into the wound or cutting it open again, the body's not like, God damn it. This is the 5th time you've done that. Like, forget it, cut forever. It's going to keep trying to heal itself. Is it not? What do you think is happening internally? Why would it be any different than that? So it's like when we call in, right, through our, it's like our silent unconscious intentions, but it's really like the energy that we're outputting. Some of you guys have heard me say this way too many times, but I'll say it again. To me, this reality, this hologram experience we're having is like an organic hologram. It's such a brilliant virtual reality machine, and it just mimics your internal experience. Like I just had like the thing that happened to me on Friday. Like it's an experience I don't want to be having, but it's known to me. I'm like, I did it again. Some part of me did that again, right? Look at that. And then the fear comes and the instability and all the rest of it. But here's what's different is I don't beat myself up anymore when that happens. I don't try to judge myself back into a quandary. I don't try to think myself out of the corner. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. It arose again. And that's another layer that I get to look at. So you could say, hey, I'm being tested again. Or you could say, I'm being given another opportunity to love myself through this experience. And there's a lot of stuff going on around the world and in our lives that we feel like we have no control of. And that's the reality. You don't have control over it. And when they survey people and they ask them, what gives you satisfaction? The number one thing they will say is control. But if you really take a step back, you'll recognize that none of us are in control of anything. We're not in control of the way our heart beats right now. We're not in control of whether our lives are going to continue tomorrow morning. We're not in control of anything that happens around the world, clearly. Right? So the only thing that we have sort of a say on is how do we cultivate our inner experience. And at the end of the day, whether you're going on vacation or having a relationship or trying to get yourself in the best shape of your life, yeah, all that external stuff is nice. Having a lot of money or having a 6-pack or whatever it is, right? Might be nice, but it's how it makes you feel inside that really matters to us. When you go to beautiful places around the world and you look at a gorgeous vista, even though you're looking at the vista, the experience that you're having is inside. That's what you care about. And it's so crazy because we have a world that just has forced us, conditioned us to completely be facing outwardly for satisfaction. And so if you can't control what's happening in life, the only thing you can control is what meets the stimulus that arises within you. And when what meets that reaction inside is love, is compassion, instead of judgment, your suffering goes from here to here or not at all. And that's the end of suffering, or at least the beginning of the end of suffering. And that also retunes the body. It changes the way that the signal is being output. Like if I told you, do you think that love or hate have a different frequency in the body? Yes or no? Do you guys believe that we can measure the frequency of hate and love? And they have, by the way. There's, is it Morimoto? The guy with the frozen water stuff?
I don't remember the name.
I don't remember his name, but if you guys have ever seen the movie or read the book Messages from Water, it's a great application of what energy does to the field of energy around us. That's measurable and we can see it with our eyes. And if you don't know, just look up Messages from Water online and you'll see that work and get a summary of it. It's really, really profound. And so, of course, like if what arises to me life is compassion, then the frequency output of the body is naturally going to be different. That is going to change the structure of the field of energy within you and around you, because everything is just responding to your output all the time. So the best place to be is to come to learn how to surrender to your experience, to meet everything internally with compassion. And that requires dedication on your part. Because all the parts of you that cannot do that right now require somebody else to be present with you when they arise. They're looking for safety again. There's an unmet need there that you've been carrying around your whole life. And this is why people who come and done 50 years of work, they come do this work with us. It's a revelation to them. It doesn't mean that what they learned was ineffective. It's usually wildly effective. And usually they will accelerate through this process. But what was missed is doing it in connection. I've sat in silent meditation for 10 days. very effective, didn't heal this stuff. Very effective, but it didn't heal this stuff. So there's stuff you can do on your own, and it has its limitations. And then there's stuff you can do with people, and it has its limitations. And there's stuff you can do with groups, and it has its limitations. And when you connect all that together, magic happens, because that's all the different ways that a human being experiences relationships, relationship with the self, relationship with other, relationship with the community. And so we get to do healing work at all three levels. And that's where the work begins to compound. And if you look at the design of our programs, we teach you guys how to do meditations at home. We teach you guys how to do group work, and we teach you guys how to do work together. That's why we teach it that way. And it took us, no shit, like 20 years to learn to do those, like that revelation right there, self to self, self to other, self to group practices was, forget mind-blowing, life-changing for us and for everybody that we've introduced that to. And it literally came in the layers of having to do so many different things to finally recognize, why did this work where that didn't? Or why has this created sustainability and predictability around my healing and transformation, where that was like fly by night? And Elon and I have had to assess a lot of that over the years to kind of boil down to like, oh, just do this. And it's crazy because it all came down to just do this 10-minute practice 3 times a week. And if you would have told these two guys 15 years ago that was possible, we would have been like, there's the door, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made sense to us. So the fact that it could be that simple is wild and great, because usually things that work and things that are honest are very simple. And it's great because you could teach it to anybody from a 4-year-old to, an 80-year-old, and it's all the same. And the reality is the needs of the child are exactly like the needs of the adult. Maybe not in the physical sense or financial sense or whatever it is. We can certainly debate and argue that stuff, but more from like what the nervous system has these needs. We have these internal needs that we've had since we were children, so, through our developmental process. And when those needs get met, like freedom ensues. And that's what this work is really, really about. So if you haven't been to a 2-day, I mean, they're life-changing. They're hilariously fun and difficult and emotional and hysterical and like everything in between, because it's life. So everything shows up in the space, but it's sacred, and it's a really beautiful ride to go on together. And we're very excited to be on that ride with you guys. If you've signed up and you're not getting emails for some reason, please just go to support@satoriprime.com. If you are not in the program yet, again, you can go to intuitivemind.live and just go buy yourself a ticket. It's certainly not too late to do that. And just come be part of this beautiful experience. Like the investment of money is certainly nominal in comparison to the level of experience that you're probably going to have. And like I said, it really comes down to being committed. So just giving time to it, being there in this beautiful energetic exchange experience is wonderful. And we invite you to be there. So love you all. Thanks for being here today. If you're new to the community, welcome again. Even if you're just still getting oriented, you're not quite sure where you are, just start diving into some programs. You really can't go wrong. And if you're in level 1, please, by all means, begin to show up for those live calls and do the work that's back there. That would be a primary focus for you. But yeah, come to the live event. And let's do some amazing work together this weekend and create some beautiful intention. All right, everybody.
Hi, everyone. See you soon.